Andrea.
Rosa. I think Rosa's looking for her unmuting.
Yes. Okay. Hi. Sorry about that. I just said we're becoming experts at hybrid actions and then I couldn't unmute myself. So there you go. Hello, everybody. Welcome. Thank you so much for being part of our hybrid rally today. We just saw a video with some pictures of the activism that union members were engaged in over the summer. And I'm really excited to see so many people on Zoom today as we start a new fight for a better budget and for a new deal for CUNY. So thank you everybody for being here. My name is Rosa Squillicote. I'm an adjunct at Hunter College, and I'm also the vice president of part-timers for the union. I'm one of the hosts for this evening, along with Andrea Vasquez, who's the first vice president of the union, and Tiffany Brown, who's the legislative coordinator for the PSC. We're going to be watching parts of the in-person rally live, so we're going to be sort of switching back and forth a little bit. We may be jumping around, but I know everybody's familiar with Zoom shenanigans, so we'll make it through together. Okay. First, a quick note. First, we're being recorded, so just to make sure you guys know that, and make sure that you are on speaker view and not gallery view. So make sure that you have your Zoom set up to be on speaker view, and that way you'll be able to see people who are talking both online and at the rally. Second, get ready to get on social media, load your Twitter, get your Facebook up and running, because we're going to be making several calls to action, like tweeting action while we're on Zoom together. So get that loaded up and you can do that while I'm talking. That is what I am here for. So we're together today. We're on Zoom today because later on today, the Board of Trustees is going to be voting on a really ambitious budget request from Albany. This budget calls for $416 million in funding, and that's a lot more than CUNY has asked for in the last 10 years. And this budget is going to put our union in a position to negotiate a much stronger contract with advances for all PSC members, and it will put us in a stronger position to fight for that new deal for CUNY. Andrea Vasquez and Labiba Chowdhury are going to be talking more about how this budget request fits into our strategic plan to organize for a better contract and the new deal for CUNY. But first, we're going to hear from Tiffany Brown, the legislative coordinator for the PSC, and she's going to walk you through some of the social media that we'll be asking you to do. So Tiffany, take it away.
Thank you, Rosa. Hi, everyone. Welcome to this hybrid event. So we're going to be using two hashtags, and my colleague is going to drop a link in the chat of how you can share the tweets. It's really easy. I'm telling you, social media is getting easier and easier by the day. All you have to do is just click to tweet, and the hashtag that we will be using is a People's CUNY. No apostrophe, because I will break the hashtag, and a new deal for CUNY, our tried and true hashtag that hopefully will pass this year. So Brian just dropped the link in the chat to our social media our social media kit. All you have to do is click on it and you click on the tweets and it will load it right up for you. The two hashtags are a People's CUNY and a new deal for CUNY. Short and sweet and to the point, and make sure that you're going to be tweeting because I'll be shouting some of you folks out later on in the program. So thank you.
Okay, what are we going to now? Is that me? Okay. Hi, everyone. Great to see so many people here. I see we have like so many colleges, so many hundreds of people, nearly 300 people here already. So thank you so much. And again, we met, in case you came in a few minutes late, we ask you to go on to speaker view, so you'll be able to see the speakers as they're introduced. So I'll be talking a little bit more about why we're here, a little bit about New Deal for CUNY and the PSC's Strategic Action Plan. So our union contract expires in 18 months, although more or less. By spring 2023, the PSC aims to have enough power and capacity to win major new public investment in CUNY, pass the New Deal for CUNY, and settle a great new contract. The Executive Council has been working in consultation with elected leaders and union activists throughout the university. We want PSC members to know about the Strategic Action Plan, to understand its connection to the needs they experience in their workplaces and the needs of our students, and to involve themselves in its realization. We also want to continue building our CUNY Rising Alliance coalition across the city with students, alumni, and community and labor organizations. The role that students and allies can play is pivotal. Together, we can make the goal of a better CUNY a citywide mandate. Through this work, the PSC will be in a position to win a contract that not only benefits our own members, but also our CUNY communities. When realized, New York's working class students, primarily Black and Brown, will have a path to a quality education and a fulfilling life. The cornerstone of the plan is to develop member engagement at the campus level, seizing upon the extraordinary work members are doing around health and safety, contract enforcement, one-on-one phone banking, anti-bullying, strike readiness, union membership, and in our union-wide committees, various other committees. So campus action teams are being formed to bring members together across different job titles, different departments, different areas of interest, and administrative areas of each college. These will be working groups based at each college. While we must maintain pressure directly on CUNY to make tangible gains for our colleagues and students, Governor Hochul is the single most important individual when it comes to reviving the university and enhancing its resources. She and presumptive Mayor Eric Adams will need to hear from us regularly and with increasing vigor about the urgency of reversing years of racist austerity at CUNY. It's clear that despite the enormous challenges of the pandemic and the inequalities that it laid bare around the city, there have been few moments in the past 20 years when our concerted action could make a greater or more immediate impact. We've already seen that the CUNY budget request drew upon many ambitious elements of New Deal for CUNY, and I'll show you more about that. During the pandemic, members have fought hard and won in many victories that allowed CUNY students to continue to receive their education and allowed faculty and staff to improve their working conditions. But we need the increased capacity to equal the potential of this moment. So in a nutshell, what's New Deal for CUNY? Brian is going to share a one-pager that we have, a document that you can look at a little bit later. But basically, New Deal for CUNY, it's not everything, but it reimagines public higher education by legislating quality education. CUNY should be central to public investment and not an afterthought. So I'm going to read a little bit, just the points about it that I think will be helpful. New Deal for CUNY, first, mandates all tuition for in-state undergraduate students within specified timeframes to degree completion be eliminated, so no tuition, and that the revenue to the colleges that would otherwise derive from tuition and fees be replaced annually by federal, state, and city funds. New Deal for CUNY mandates public funding to lift the ratio of full-time faculty to undergraduate students and close the gap, the equity gap between full-time and part-time prorated salaries. 3, New Deal for CUNY mandates the hiring of full-time mental health counselors to meet the International Accreditation of Counseling Services standard of 1 to 1,000 counselors for students. CUNY now averages 1 mental health counselor for 2,500 students.
Andrea, we have to head over to our friend. James is speaking right now.
Okay, great. I'll be back.
Yes.
On the Zoom. Thank you, I and Megan from NYPIRG on the Zoom. Thank you for being with us in solidarity, in coalition today. So let's be clear about why we are out here today. The largest public urban university system in the country deserves much better than what we've been getting. Our students and our colleagues deserve much better. And this whole institution, whose mission is to serve the whole people of the city of New York, deserves much better. Let's also be very clear about what we expect from the Board of Trustees this evening. They must approve the budget request proposed by the administration. It's vitally important, given the pandemic that we've been living through, that any recovery and rebound for the city goes through a big recovery and rebound for the City University of New York. But that's not all. Yes, the university budget request is far better, far better than it's been in years. And yes, it also includes a tuition freeze, which we can and should applaud. We and our students will benefit tremendously from the proposed additional $416 million in funding above and beyond last year's enacted budgets. But last year's enacted budgets were inadequate to our real needs, as was the year before that and before that. So there's a lot of ground to make up from the structural defunding of CUNY over the past decade. This CUNY budget request is a stepping stone. It's an important one, but it's a stepping stone nonetheless. So let's remember that hundreds of CUNY faculty on contingent appointments were laid off in 2020. They lost their jobs and their income. Only through the activism and agitation by PSC members, 1,000 of those laid off adjuncts got back on payroll and returned to teaching. That didn't happen because of CUNY's largesse. That happened through organizing. Let's remember too, hundreds of staff on contingent appointments also lost their jobs or had their hours reduced. College assistants, adjunct CLTs, and non-teaching adjuncts, the folks who help keep our colleges running, who support our higher education officers and our full-time lab technicians, they lost work too. And so the remaining professional staff find themselves dealing with work speed ups, working out of title, covering areas that 2 or 3 colleagues used to cover. That won't be resolved by CUNY's largesse, but only through organizing. Our full-time faculty also need to be replenished and made more diverse in the process. Back in the mid-1970s, when tuition was first implemented for CUNY undergrads, there were 24,000 fewer students in the CUNY system, but more than 4,000 more full-time faculty members. If we had kept pace, even with our counterparts in SUNY over the last 15 years, there would be thousands more full-time faculty here at CUNY. And that's what we mean when we talk about racist austerity, the defunding of an institution whose student population is predominantly people of color, first generation in their families to attend college, immigrants or children of immigrants. More than half of our students come from households with annual income less than $30,000. So reversing the depletion of the full-time faculty won't come through CUNY's largesse, it will only come through organizing. Tonight's vote by the Board of Trustees is a critically important one. It shows that the CUNY administration is finally asking for something like what is needed to change course, but it's only a first step really in this stage of the struggle to transform the university. For that, we're going to need the governor, the speaker in the assembly, the Senate majority leader, the mayor, and most importantly, all of you, dozens of your colleagues, your students and alumni. If we organize, we can win a strong and a just budget this year. We can win a new deal for CUNY if we organize, and if we organize, we can fundamentally shift the conditions in which we educate our students. Thank you for being here. Let's keep up the fight.
I think we're going directly to,
Yeah, I think so. If they're gonna do chants, Andrea, do you want to finish your
okay.
piece and
No.
then we'll hear from
No,
Remy?
no, there's Remy. There's Remy.
Okay, all right, guys. So next we're gonna be hearing, so that was James Davis, our union president. He started a little early, so I wasn't able to introduce him. Next, we're gonna be hearing from Remy Salas, who's the director of the CUNY Rising
I want to say
Alliance.
that my name is Remy Salas. I am the campaign director for the CUNY Rising Alliance, as well as a proud member of the PSC, professor at the MCC. I have a bit of a migraine, but this type of work we cannot miss. I may have a migraine because it gives me a headache just thinking about that the trustees have to think and this is the opportunity for us to move CUNY forward by making the People's University more accessible as well as free for everyone, but also providing the jobs for the faculty members, as well as providing the opportunity for low-income students, students of color, to really change generational steps for their lives. So we want to make sure we get this vote. We want to make sure we get the proper funding that CUNY deserves. So thank you everyone for being here. Thank you all the organizers for being here. And thank you all the students around listening to our concerns, as well as how we fight for you every single day. Thank you.
Okay, so I think we're going to be moving back to our in-person. And here we are.
Hi, everybody. We don't want to spend this whole time talking.
Okay. Hi, everybody. Thanks for, again, sticking with
talk,
us
I'll
through
be
the back and forth. Next, we're going to be hearing from Joseph Enton, who is a professor at CUNY and is going to be talking about the needs for full-time faculty. So, Joseph, you're up next.
Mute. Can you hear me? Okay, great. Hi, everybody. It's great to be here. I'm Joseph Enton. I'm professor of English and American Studies at Brooklyn College. I've been teaching at CUNY since 2003, and it's just as thrilling to me now as it was when I started. I took a job at CUNY because of its mission to educate the whole people of New York, especially first generation and poor and working class students who otherwise might not have access to high quality higher education. These students do not disappoint. In the midst of their often challenging lives, caring for family members, working and struggling to make ends meet, and during the pandemic, our students persist and thrive, seizing the opportunities before them. They inspire me and so many of my faculty and staff colleagues to no end. But my time at CUNY has been marred by the stranglehold of austerity, which has cut CUNY to the bone, jeopardizing the work that we do. Like a drumbeat, austerity insists, do more with less, even as we live in what may be the richest city in the history of the planet. Particularly devastating has been the decline in full-time faculty members and the over-reliance on adjuncts who are so grossly exploited. In the last 2 years alone, CUNY has lost more than 500 full-time faculty and staff. They must be replaced, and the full-time ranks need to be dramatically expanded. My own department has shrunk from over 40 tenure-line faculty when I arrived to 32 now, a decline of roughly 25%, even as enrollments at Brooklyn College and our department have remained steady. We have not hired anyone in literary studies, the field at the core of English as a discipline, in a decade. The political science department at Brooklyn College has lost 7 full-time faculty members in the past 8 years, the majority of them faculty of color, with no replacements. I co-direct a program at Brooklyn funded by the Andrew Mellon Foundation that connects transfer students with faculty members on research projects, often of the student's own devising. Over the last 5 years, with faculty support, students in the program have produced transformative knowledge about everything from food insecurity to civil rights history to the staging of race in early modern theater, and have gone on to publish their results, enter graduate schools, and work in a wide range of fields. It's a testament to the power of student and faculty collaboration, which can propel students to heights they might not have known they could reach. With the increased funding in CUNY's budget request this coming year, the university aims to hire over 1,000 new full-time faculty, nearly half of whom would be in lecturer positions open to current adjuncts, and in an augmented capital budget to improve the physical infrastructure. This is all terrific, but don't get me wrong, it's not enough. The New Deal for CUNY calls for something like 5,000 new full-time lines, which is more in tune with the university's true needs. But CUNY is proposing to make a powerful start, and I hope the Board of Trustees endorses that. To invest in full-time faculty lines and in CUNY's facilities is to invest in our students and their futures, and thus the future of New York City. These young and not so young people and this city deserve nothing less. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Joseph. That was such a powerful testimony about what this budget can mean for CUNY workers and faculty. And now we're going to be going back to our Vice President, Andrea Vasquez, who's going to finish what she was saying earlier, and we'll hear from Labiba Chowdhury after that.
Right. Hopefully. As Rosa said right at the beginning, we're going to be jumping around today. You're going to be able to see the rally, some of the rally live, and we have many speakers here coming on Zoom, including Senator Andrew Gennardis, who will, as soon as he arrives, I'll probably be interrupted by him. So that's fine. But I was talking about, you heard from James. I was talking a little bit more about New Deal for CUNY. I ran through the main elements of New Deal for CUNY. Maybe we could put a link to a fuller document for you to look at on your own. I think we have a pretty full program, so I won't go into it in much detail. But what I would like you to see on the screen, I think Brian can share this, is a comparison. You heard James talk about, a couple of people have talked about CUNY's budget requests this year. And we did a little graphic to show you why this is significant. We haven't seen, if you've been around CUNY for a while, and I know Barbara Bowen is here visiting us today also, for 21 years at least, we've been saying to CUNY, make an ask that means something, make an ask that can really change CUNY. And certainly for the last 10 years under Cuomo, they have not done that. And we've gone after them every year. This year, there's some hope. This year, their budget requests, as you can see, they drew directly from New Deal for CUNY. They are asking for 1,075 new full-time faculty. They are asking for an operating budget that increases $416 million. They're asking for $5.5 million specifically for mental health. They're freezing tuition. And they're making a significant $1.25 billion request for the capital budget. So you'll hear other speakers speaking about infrastructure, and you just heard Joseph speak about the full-time faculty need. So this is what's different this year. And this is why we need to be mobilized, because it's one thing for them to make the request. It's another thing for us to win it. So, and that's where the PSC comes in, because we are supporting this budget request. It's not a live meeting. We would have been there live if it were a live meeting. It's not a live meeting, but we're supporting it. We're tweeting about it. I think someone hopefully is putting in the chat a link to a way that you can tweet right now. We'd like to trend on Twitter. It's important. People will see it. And then we have a strategic plan to lay out for the next year and a half.
Andrea, we've been joined by Andrew Gennardis.
Good. Okay, so I'm going to come back after Andrew and talk about our strategic plan. Thanks. Can we spotlight him?
I think he's still getting his audio together. So
okay.
Once we have that.
Okay. Okay.
In the meantime, thank you everybody who's tweeting. And if you haven't yet, just click on the link that's in the chat, and there's just a super easy click through for you to retweet or to tweet the tweets that are in the document.
Right. And our hashtags, we can put those in the chat too. Let me put those. Oh.
I do know that he's in transit, so he might be having some technical issues with just locking in with audio, but.
Okay, well, why don't I continue and just tell me when I should, just say when. And yeah, I was talking about the need, the need for a plan as we've been saying, will get us the budget we need to win a new deal for CUNY and to win a terrific next contract 18 months from now. We showed you what the comparison budget are, the new deal for CUNY demand and CUNY's budget request. And that's why we're here today, right? This is not something we expected. Recently, leadership, the chapter chairs, the executive council has been working on creating a strategic action plan that will get us to the point that we want to get to. And it really lays out, actually, maybe we can share the visual of what it lays out for the next year and a half. There are benchmarks that take us, so there are benchmarks that take us through starting in 2022, when classes start, getting signatures on a petition from students, we're always told by legislators that they want to hear from us. They want to hear from students. We want to increase the sponsors of New Deal for CUNY legislation. We have about 31 assembly members and about 19 senators signed on to this bill right now. We scroll down, we can see we want PSC members in face-to-face meetings with officials, participating in mass rallies. As the spring hits and we get closer to the final budget, we will be hitting the streets in these ways. And May, we would like to reach 50. We would like to be building these contract action teams on the campuses, cross-title, cross-department, cross-units of members working together and building department reps and building office reps to the PSC, joining in those campus action teams. By June, we want to have 70% of our members filling out a contract survey, because we want one thing to lead to the next, to lead to the next, to get us to that final contract early this time. So I think I'll take a break right there because I see Senator Gonardes. Welcome. I hope your video is good. We'd love to hear from you, our prime sponsor of New Deal for CUNY, Senator Andrew Gonardes. Thank you.
I can't, there we go. Can you hear me? All right. Hello, everyone. Oh, whoops, sorry. Sorry I couldn't join you all for the earlier half of this. Today was my civil service tour day, so I'm actually spent the whole day up in the Hudson Valley. But it's great to be with you all today. Really just reiterating our call for more and more public investment in our public institution that we all love, CUNY. The Board of Trustees has a phenomenal opportunity to put on the record a really significant budget request, one that we haven't seen in probably a decade. And so we fully are asking and expecting them to put that request forward, make it part of the public record. And then we're going to take this fight back up to Albany and to City Hall to make sure that we can win these games. And then we can really, like I said, for the first time in a decade, really put the money behind the City University that we know it deserves, that we know it needs, to do all the things that I know we all care about: hiring more faculty so we can lower the faculty-student ratio, hiring more mental health counselors, investing in students, investing in the facilities of our buildings, all of the things that have been deferred for far too long. This starts right now. So I am incredibly excited to see the direction that the board seems to be going in. Well, I'll believe it when I see it after they vote tonight. And then the countdown starts for us to make sure that we take what they're asking for and we take it to the halls of power, and we do everything in our power together, both from the legislative side as well as from the advocacy side, to make that a reality. So I'm so excited to be here with you all. Thank you all for your continued advocacy and just your fierce willingness to come out and never stop fighting for CUNY. It really and truly makes a difference. And when I think back to the first, my first year in office, just the way we've grown the movement around support for CUNY in the last 3 years has truly been tremendous. We're not there yet, but we have come so far in such a short period of time. And I'm so heartened by that. And I know that we're going to continue to do great things together, because when we stand together and fight, we know we're going to win. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Senator Gonardes. It's great to have you here. And we are mobilizing, we are planning, we have long-range plans, we have immediate plans to be on the streets, to be in Albany. I hear you'll be in person in Albany some of the time this spring. Or so they say. So we'll be there. If you'll be there, we'll be there, talking to as many legislators as possible. You've done so much to make New Deal for CUNY come into be as popular as it has been last year. That was a great step. So thanks so much. I think just to wind down, let me just say, I would like, if Brian could put a link into the chat. As I said, we need to have structure. We need to have organization to wage huge campaigns like this around the budget and then around our contract. And these campus action teams will be hugely important. So we want you to sign up to participate locally on your campus under the banner of strong budget, strong CUNY, strong union. The PSC is committed to transforming CUNY into the People's University it was meant to be. So sign up to be in one of those campus action teams on your campus. It's really an important moment for us. So thank you so much. I'll see you later. I'll be back later.
Thank you, Andrea. Thank you, Senator Gonardes. We are next going to hear from Labiba Chowdhury, who is an organizer with the CUNY Rising Alliance. So Labiba.
Hi, everyone. Yeah, my name is Labiba. I'm with CUNY Rising Alliance, and I'm incredibly excited to organize for the New Deal for CUNY with everyone here. Andrea already did a run through of what New Deal for CUNY entails. So I think I'm just going to talk about another project we're working on together to help really push for the fight for New Deal for CUNY. And that's our Get Vaccinated CUNY raffle for students to support a safe transition to in-person learning. The AFT and PSC CUNY is funding a raffle to promote vaccination amongst students, and we're giving away 25 MacBooks and 5 $2,000 cash prizes to vaccinated students, which is super exciting and a great way to support students in this rough time during the pandemic. And I'm gonna link the raffle right now in the chat so everyone here has it. And while I continue talking about this project, I hope that you guys can click on this link, save it, and share it with your students and CUNY students that you know, that you're teaching, and really encourage people to sign up if they're vaccinated. So more about the raffle. Basically, students who sign up for this raffle will also get updates and opportunities to plug into our New Deal for CUNY campaign. So it's a great way to get involved. Not only are they getting a chance to win a MacBook or $2,000 cash prize, they're also plugging into this wonderful and really important fight for free higher quality education at CUNY. So if you're a professor, please share this raffle with your students. And if you're a vaccinated student, sign up for the raffle and share it with your friends. It's linked in the chat right now. Yeah, so I think I'm gonna just leave it at that for now. Thank you, guys.
Just put one little request for you in the chat, Labiba.
Oh, yes. We have, I think, about 5,700 students signed up at this point, if not over that. Last I checked, it was around that. So we've got a lot of signups, majority at BMCC. So if I could, encourage some healthy competition here, I think we could get some more signups at our other schools. We have almost 3,000 signups from BMCC. So BMCC is really killing it. If you're a professor at any of the other schools, let's see if we can, bring up some competition here. I'd love to see more signups across the other campuses.
Yeah. I mean, BMC is okay. BMCC is okay, but Hunter's good too. Come on, Hunter, where are you? Let's get those signups. Okay, thank you very much, Labiba. Next, we're going to be hearing from Lisa Nishimura, who is the New York Engagement Coordinator from the Young Invincibles, and they are going to be talking about CUNY's 2023 budget. So Lisa, after you.
Hi, good afternoon, everyone. I'm so honored to be here. As Rosa had mentioned, I am the New York Engagement Coordinator here at Young Invincibles. I'm also proud John Jay graduate from Justice. And I just want to say, I think we can all attest to how the COVID-19 pandemic has immensely affected New Yorkers, but more specifically CUNY students, such as myself. March 2020 was a month that will forever be ingrained in our memories and of course in history. And institutions and organizations such as CUNY all had to think quickly on how to operate in our new reality, given the shutdowns and then switching to being completely virtual. But now fast forward today, although we are still in a pandemic, we have had some semblance of normalcy, having classes become hybrid and students being able to access resources both online and in person, while CUNY has in some capacity been able to address the growing needs and demands of CUNY students since the pandemic has first hit. There's still much more that needs to be accomplished. The new fiscal year of 2023 CUNY budget is promising, with hiring of over half with full-time mental health counselors to ensure that students who have been waitlisted sometimes for over half a year finally being able to see a counselor on a consistent basis and have their mental health needs, to hiring more staff for child care centers for students juggling both school and family responsibilities to be able to continue their education so that they can pave the way for a better future for themselves and their children. All of these are a starting point, which we have been working as a collective here at CUNY Rising Alliance for years, but this is not where it ends. CUNY still must take a holistic approach in meeting the needs of its students. With students coming from diverse backgrounds and mostly from low-income families, being able to address students as a whole is crucial if we want to build our city and provide opportunities for students to move up the socioeconomic ladder. Take, for example, mental health, which we have talked about about. Mental health does not only include being able to see a counselor, but also we know that students whose basic needs are not being met, such as food and housing insecurity, can also negatively impact a student's mental health. CUNY must invest in expanding food resources to students, expanding food pantries, but also converting these resources into resource hubs so that students experiencing these challenges can receive the support that they so need. CUNY must also address the rise in housing instability among students. Although Governor Hochul had signed into law that the eviction moratorium will be extended until January 15, 2022, there have been and currently CUNY students experiencing homelessness. Approximately 15% of New York's public college students experience homelessness before the COVID-19 pandemic. CUNY should hire homeless liaisons for students experiencing this issue to ensure that they are being supported, and take the example of states like California, Maine, Tennessee, who have all passed specific legislation to address homelessness on college campuses. In addition to all of this, as we have already talked about and mentioned, CUNY needs to pass the New Deal for CUNY to make undergraduate tuition free for students like myself who did not receive financial aid, and other students who continue to struggle with paying tuition every semester. Having tuition freezes is not enough anymore. The New Deal for CUNY will allow for more students to attain their higher education and give more access to resources that we all have been discussing today. Let us continue to push for the fight in equity in our public institutions that have been long overdue. Thank you so much for having me, y'all.
Thank you so much, Lisa. I just love everything you said about how this is going to really support CUNY students. And to that end, next we're going to be hearing from Meg Ahern of NYPIRG.
Hi, thanks so much, Rosa. My name, like Rosa said, is Megan Ahern. I'm NYPIRG's program director. And I've gotten to work for NYPIRG and with students and faculty at CUNY since 2006. I got my start at BMCC, so love to hear that the Backs Up CUNY campaign is going strong there. But since 2006, I've worked at NYPIRG with students all over the city, and we're proud to be a steering committee member of the CUNY Rising Alliance. And when I got my start at NYPIRG, like I said, in 2006, it was on the heels of the Pataki administration, which I don't have to remind a lot of you here, was horrible budget after horrible budget for public higher education. And after a brief respite with Spitzer and Patterson, the years of the Cuomo administration, which saw chipping away at investment, not supporting students, college students of color, low-income students at CUNY, and the trend of divestment has been literal decades. So it's now an opportunity for Governor Hochul to usher in a new era, and it's heartening to see that CUNY is realizing this opportunity and underlining that point that this is a new opportunity and era for investment, listening to student organizers, students and faculty from across the system that have been calling and ringing this alarm for years and years with this request that invests in full-time faculty, millions of dollars that have been critically needed for years, freezing tuition and increasing state support programs. So, you know, this isn't just a time to reinvest in CUNY to get us past the pandemic. This is literal decades of divestment that needs to be, that the ship needs to be righted. And that's what we're fighting for with you all today. So I'm proud to be standing or sitting in my bedroom with you all today, but fighting here in New York City, in Albany, and on the steps of City Hall for more funding for CUNY. NYPIRG is currently running a petition drive to Governor Hochul for a student-friendly state budget. And I'll just type it in here. But if everyone wants to slap their signature on that petition, we're delivering it right before the executive budget is released in January. So here's to a new deal for CUNY and fighting for a budget for CUNY that invests in students, invests in livable wage for faculty members, and the kind of support programs that give a free and fully funded CUNY experience to all.
I love it. Thank you so much, Meg. This is so exciting. And actually, to follow up with more about New Deal for CUNY and how it's going to help faculty and adjunct faculty, we're going to be hearing from Jen Gabori, who is the Hunter Chapter Chair, speaking live now at the rally.
Hi, I'm going to talk about adjunct diverse lines, but I just want to start by saying, Robert Rudiga, you're watching. So I am a full-time lecturer at Hunter College, and the reason I am a full-time lecturer is because of the strength and tenacity of this union. We had to fight and convince CUNY to create full-time conversion lines. Full-time conversion lines are a form of adjunct justice. We need to be able to bring long-serving adjuncts into the rank of full-time faculty, to pay people fairly,
Right.
to have shared service labor that right now is falling on too few people.
Right.
I am trying to build a better department rep system at Hunter College. And recently I went to a department and we were talking with different people, and some of the people who are most active in their department are adjuncts. And we talked about whether or not they could be department reps. But that department has a rule that says that contingent faculty may not come to their staff meetings. Right? We need conversion lines as a form of adjunct justice, and also to break the two-tier system that is in part about dignity around work and respect. But I was really surprised, I have to say, when 500 conversion lines popped up in this budget request. But part of what we know is that is just a start. And even if we got 2,000 or 3,000 conversion lines out of a New Deal for CUNY, that is also a start. We want adjunct conversion lines. We want full-time work. Thanks so much.
It's me. You don't know me, but I'm Michelle.
Next up, we have Michelle Doney from Baruch College. Thank you, Michelle.
All right, hey everybody, my name's Michelle. I'm here to talk about the importance of mental health services for students. A, I'm not a really great extemporaneous speaker, so I wrote my stuff down. And B, I'm not a mental health counselor. I'm actually a learning center director, and I want to talk about the relationship between mental health and learning. So we understand the direct connection between those two things. Mental health counseling is not optional for students to be optimally learning. Okay, so CUNY is the road to social mobility, but our road is a road of education. And to get an education, students have to be able to learn. To learn, students need to feel motivated, and they need to sustain that motivation long enough to achieve a complex long-term goal like a college degree. If they are anxious or depressed, or if they're struggling with low self-esteem or imposter syndrome or issues around substance abuse, they cannot think, they cannot sustain that level of motivation and energy long enough to achieve that goal. That's number one. Number two, to learn, students have to be able to concentrate. They have to be able to focus. If they are dealing with anxiety, depression, anger management issues, grief, trauma, which an enormous number of our students are dealing with at least 3 or 4 of those things right now, it's unreasonable to expect them to be able to focus and concentrate. Those are key skills, those are key abilities that you need for learning. You can't do it without those things, okay? To learn, students need to be able to store and retrieve information in and out of long-term memory that is not optional. So, on its way, in and out of long-term memory, information makes a stop in short-term memory, otherwise known as working memory. Anxiety, depression, trauma, grief, undiagnosed ADHD, all of those things make working memory harder to use and long-term memory inaccessible. So students need to get stuff in and out of long-term memory to take exams, write papers, participate in class discussions, do all of those things. If we do not lift the obstacles that are making it harder for them to use long-term and short-term memory, it's unreasonable to expect them to learn. It is unreasonable to expect them to learn. Okay, and that's bad because they needed to do all those things, class discussion, all that kind of stuff, right? All the active learning things we want them to do. So now sometimes if a student connects with a mental health counselor around some of these issues, what looked
like anxiety, depression, something like that, turns out to be an underlying psychiatric thing, an underlying learning disability, an underlying neurodivergence. That students that come to CUNY very often live all their lives up to this point without the resources around them to uncover that diagnosis. So to spend time with a mental health counselor who has the time to spend the time and ask the questions and have a conversation that uncovers an underlying diagnosis, that can lead to a life-changing diagnosis and treatment. But that takes time. Those conversations take time. It is no longer enough to say we have a counseling center. We have to be able to say we have enough counselors and they have enough time. Right. That's my thing.
Yeah.
All right. Yes, exactly.
Let's hear it one more time from Michelle. That was amazing.
That is being funded is student support, student services like mental health support for students. Next, we're going to have a quick social media break with Tiffany Brown, and then we'll be hearing from Yasmin Edwards. So Tiffany.
Oh, I forgot I had to add a spotlight to myself. Hi, everyone. So I just want to give another social media push and just shout out a few of our persistent tweeters. I saw Ben Shepard and Umanto. I apologize if I mispronounced your Twitter handle, Nikki Columbus, Dr. Mel Z, Dr. Jesse NYC. You guys have been on fire. So again, Brian has been periodically dropping the link in the chat to the social media, but please, it's a people's CUNY, that's the hashtag, and a new deal for CUNY is the second hashtag. So let's try to trend on Twitter and making sure that the Board of Trustees and CUNY community hear from us, and let's keep tweeting out. So a people's CUNY and a new deal for CUNY, and shout out to our rock stars that I mentioned earlier. Thank you.
All right, thank you, Tiffany, and thank you to the tweeters. And next, we're going to be hearing from Yasmin Edwards, who is the chapter chair at Bronx Community College.
Thank you, Rosa. And it's so great to see everyone. And it's great to see everyone here today because we're seeing the action from the Board of Trustees because of all the work that we've been doing. You showing up today, this is a statement of power. It's a statement of power that the Board of Trustees will not ignore. Many of us who've worked in CUNY for a long time have seen in very physical and tangible ways the underfunding of the system. And we see that in the buildings that we work in. We see that in the buildings that we work in and that our students learn in. And if there is, that to me is one of the more in your face aspects of racist austerity. When our students work, have to attend classes on campuses that are allowed to fall into disrepair. On my campus at Bronx Community College, it is a constant fight for basic things. Please, we need soap in the bathroom. We need hot water. We need AC in the summer. We need heat in the winter. That's how basic it has become. It's intolerable. We've always known it's intolerable. And this is why this union got up and fought for that new deal for CUNY. And thank you to Senator Ganardes for sponsoring that bill. But our work is not done. As many have said, this is the beginning. But I'm going to read to you from a section of the budget that's been proposed. And it's comes from the facilities maintenance and enhancement section of the budget. It says that the university is requesting additional operating funds to maintain the various infrastructure of our colleges. And my statement to that is it's about time. And again, that would not be a component or an aspect of this budget, but for our advocacy, our push, our fight. And that fight is not over. It must continue. And so I'm so happy to have the opportunity to speak to these issues. But even more than that, I'm so happy that so many of us showed up today to support this budget, which again is a first step. Our work is not done. We have to keep pushing because the Board of Trustees have never shown themselves to be very generous in defending the needs or supporting the needs of our students and the faculty and the staff of our system. And so thank you for being here. And again, this is an ongoing fight. Thank you, Rosa.
Thank you so much, Yasmin. Yeah,
Rosa?
yes.
I don't know if you got a message that Assembly Member Harvey Epstein is speaking now.
Is he speaking now?
Yep, we're gonna cut to him now.
Great, okay. Thanks. Here we go.
It's starting to start. All right. You're on mic. Hi, my name is Harvey Epstein, State Assembly Member here in the 74th District. Thank you all who are out there. So we're here fighting for CUNY. I continue to remind people I'm a CUNY alum. My father went to Baruch College. He only was able to go through college because it was free. We need to get back to those times where CUNY is free, accessible, and available for all New Yorkers. We know that CUNY is a change agent. My grandmother was a low-wage worker delivering milk in Brooklyn. My father was able to go to college, become a teacher. I was able to go to college and go to law school. Like it is the pathway for people out of poverty. We need to ensure that CUNY continues to be that pathway. That's why we need a new deal for CUNY. That's why we need free college. That's why we need real capital improvements. We need money for mental health services. We need money for food insecurity. CUNY could be the path for so many. We need to make sure that happens. I'm going to continue to fight in the state to make sure that happens for all of us.
All right, thank you. That was awesome.
Oh, it's upside down.
Yeah. So thank you so much to everybody again for being with us on this online rally. Andrea, I don't know if you want to close out with final thoughts.
Sure. This is great. It's just been great. As that looks pretty crazy and fun out there on the street. I really look forward to when we can be back on the streets, but we will bring thousands of members on the streets as we fight to get this new deal for CUNY passed, fight for a good contract. Please join one of the contract action teams, one of the campus action teams on your campus. There are links in the chat for you to sign up to be on a team. This is a moment, as we've said, that we have not seen before. With CUNY asking for this kind of a budget, with CUNY Rising Alliance having been so successful, with New Deal for CUNY legislation in Albany having been so successful. So we need all members in it. We need all members in it, and this is a chance we haven't had before. So I hope you all sign up because every member can do something. Maybe you can't go to Albany, maybe you can't even be face-to-face, but every member can do something. So thanks a lot for coming out today, and you'll be hearing from us again. I hope there's some students out there, and I hope there's some faculty out there who will sign up, and we will see you next time.
And looking forward to working with everybody, signing up for CATS, and the strategic action plan is taking us into the future, fighting together. So yes. Thanks, everybody. Thank you.
Bye, everyone. Thank you.
Thanks, Tiffany. Thanks, Rosa. Thanks, Labiba, wherever she is.